Hi there, I'm Jenn Hand, here to help you end your battle with eating and learn to love your body. Today's topic is very close to my heart because it is something I really struggled with on my own journey. What to do when you can't face your body in the mirror. So typically when we start out dieting or trying to lose weight or trying to control our food or weight in some form or fashion, it's because we don't like what we see in the mirror. We don't like our size. We don't like the shape of our body. We don't like our reflection and how we feel in our bodies, and we want to change it. So when we start to work to find our own normal around food and let go of dieting, it can seem like we may make a little bit of progress in the food area, but are completely stuck with the body stuff because it's like, well, my body hasn't changed and I still hate what I see in the mirror and I still can't accept my body. And there's this disparity and disconnection between maybe the progress we're making in our foods and we haven't dieted in a little bit, or we're letting go of binging a little bit, but we still don't like our bodies. So I wanted to address this topic and give you a couple of tips and reminders you can use when you find yourself in that place where you're looking at your body in the mirror and you're feeling that feeling of despair and angst and anxiety and anger and the million other feelings we have when we face our reflections. So the first thing I want you to remember is reframing your body as a whole person. So the way people see you and the way you see other people isn't just fixating and honing in on someone's stomach and seeing that they are the size of their stomach, or seeing someone at the store and they have big thighs and fixating on that and thinking of that person and only associating them with big thighs. And this is a really important reminder because when we're looking at our bodies in the mirror, we fixate on the one thing, the two things, the 15 things that we don't like. And then that's how we see ourselves. And for me, I always fixated on my stomach. So I would look in the mirror, look at my stomach, criticize the heck out of it, and then see myself as my stomach. Like I just assumed people were looking at my stomach and judging it. And different comments made over the years. I remember being on a study abroad and the pictures were posted online for everyone to see at the beach, and someone asked if I was pregnant or said I looked, I can't even remember what they said, but it was something about my stomach, and I got self-conscious all over again about my stomach and needing to hide, and the voices in my head just became louder and louder about, see, you were right, your stomach is disgusting. And it's easy for us to fixate on that part of ourselves that we see in the mirror that we hate and we loathe and we want to fix. So this is your reminder to softly, gently remember that you are not just your stomach. You are not just your butt or your thighs or whatever part that you don't like. You are a whole person. And being a whole person includes you and not just your body, your emotions, your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your quirks, your personality, your characteristics. All of the things that make you you encompass you as a whole person. And the size of your stomach, the size of your thighs is a small portion of what makes you you. So really remember that when you fixate on that part of your body in the mirror that you don't like, take a deep breath and just remember, I am more than my body. I am a whole person. I am bigger than this insignificant flaw that I'm seeing, and just remembering that we are more than our bodies and we are the sum total of so many things, and fixating on one part and having that be in our minds as obsessing over it and thinking about it all the time and being afraid of judgment and criticism really discounts who we are as a person. The second thing I want you to remember and practice is actually away from the mirror. If you're more comfortable than in front of the mirror, you can do it either. But I want you to close your eyes, and you can do it right now if you want to. Put your hands on your heart, and I want you to picture someone who loves you so incredibly much. It could be a partner, it could be your spouse, it could be a sister, your mom, a child, a pet, a best friend, anyone in your life who loves you for you, no matter what your size is. And I want you to picture that person showering you with love and receiving that, and putting your hand on your heart helps you to connect to that space where we love. So picturing that person saying that they love you and how perfect you are and how acceptable you are and how enough you are, and just receiving all of that love. And I guess your pet doesn't really talk, but you can picture that, their eyes just showing you love. And another alternative way to practice this is to look at yourself in the mirror, in your eyes. You looking at your eyes in the mirror and saying, you are enough, you are acceptable, I love you, you are perfect. And this can be very vulnerable, very hard, and it might not be where you're starting, but think of it as something to move towards. And I think it was Jack Canfield, author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. He did a 30-day experiment looking at himself in the mirror and saying, I love you. And said it blew his mind, changed his whole world, and filled him up with the sense of self-love. So starting off with receiving that love from someone else and just picturing you just filling yourself up with, yes, they think I'm perfectly imperfect, and they think I'm acceptable, and they think I'm enough, and they love me for me, helps you start to hold that space within you and fill that space within you until you can believe it yourself. And I so remember the woman I worked with to work through my own issues and my own food stuff and body stuff. I just remember so significantly how much she loved me until I could love myself. And that might sound weird because she was a therapist and a nutritionist, but it was like I could feel her love and her belief in me as perfect, as enough, as acceptable, until I could start to believe that for myself. The third piece of this puzzle is understanding that we all have that critical voice. So it's so easy to look at something and pick out what we don't like. So easy. That's what we're trained to do. It's like in school, we get back the paper and there's red marks all over it with what is wrong. We don't get a paper back with red marks circled with what's right and what they love. We're conditioned to pick out what's wrong, and it's easy. It's so much easier to pick out what's wrong than to really look for what's right. And this is, if you don't want to look at this in your body, look at it with your spouse, your partner, or a relationship you've had where you can get annoyed at them in 10 seconds. And then the next hour, it's completely fine because you're not looking at what you did, what they did that was, you were critical of it, you didn't like. It's like, it's so easy to pick out the things in other people too that we don't like, but let's look for what's right. And let's remember that, okay, when we're criticizing our reflection in the mirror, that's our critical voice. Someone I just read named their critical voice, I think it was Cybele. I think that was what their name was. And I love this because it was like, yeah, let's name that voice. Be like, oh, there's Cybele talking, and connect to that loving voice. What would that loving voice say? What would that voice of gentleness and compassion and kindness say if you were looking at yourself in the mirror? And again, this might be a better practice away from the mirror if you can't stomach your reflection right now. But knowing and naming that critical voice, there's that critical voice fixating on how much I don't like my stomach, helps you detach from it and separate from it and create some space around it so you can start to hear that voice of love and kindness and compassion more and more. And honestly, we all start somewhere. So if you're finding yourself in that space where you just really are having a hard time with your reflection and seeing your body in the mirror or in the window, or when you walk by somewhere, your reflection, know that we all start somewhere. So, we start out in this life, yes, loving our bodies and blissfully unaware that there are societal expectations of how we're supposed to look, and we learn that over time. And so when we're in the space where we hate our bodies and what we're seeing in the mirror, remember that our next step isn't to look in the mirror and love our body. Our next step is a small point of progress towards neutral, towards appreciation, towards space and I don't want to say disconnection. but disconnection from that negativity. So our work is not to immediately jump into, I love my body, I love my reflection, I accept it, but to move forward in that next small step that makes the most sense for us. So I hope this helps. Come back to this video if you ever need some inspiration around reframing that negativity and that critical voice we have when we look in the mirror.